This is Poppy, and I want to welcome you to my sleep story slumber party. As you've probably heard, trolls are the most kind, compassionate creatures the world has ever seen. We're probably best known for two things. Number one, we have colorful, magical hair. Number two, we love to sing, dance, and hug. Okay, I guess technically thing two was three things. Anyway, trolls live in a wonderful place called Trolls Village, where life is fuzzy, cozy, cool, and warm, and a troll treats a troll with a certain kind of kindness. Life in Trolls Village is all about togetherness. We trolls are known for, let's say, an active lifestyle, which includes things like hug time, glitter fireworks, and epic dance parties. But here's what you might not know. When the party's over, when the lights have gone dark and the glitter has all fallen to the ground, the life of a troll goes from dance party to slumber party. Sleep is a pretty big deal for us. And it makes sense if you think about it. To keep up with all that dancing and partying and cupcake juggling, not to mention juggling while roller skating, with cupcakes. If you're gonna keep up, you've gotta recharge your battery. Just look around this slumber party. Check this out. You've got half of Trolls Village in here, and each one of my fuzzy friends is tucked in, crashed out, fast asleep. Oh, hold up, I just realized something. This is a sleep story. So you can hear me, but you can't see me. Man, that's a significant bummer. I'm having an incredible hair day. Not to mention, this was supposed to be a sleep story slumber party. You and me being friends and hanging out. So how are we supposed to spend this time together if you can't see what I'm seeing? Actually, wait, time out. I've got it. Remain calm and take a full step back. I think I got a plan. So, you're probably already lying down, so just remain horizontal and close your eyes and let me try something. So imagine for a second that you're sitting with me in my cozy pod. All my friends are gathered together for an epic slumber party, and they're all tucked under fuzzy felt blankets, sleeping soundly. You've got Branch, Cooper, Smidge, Satin and Chenille, and you've got Biggie and Mr. Dinkles, and Guy Diamond and Tiny Diamond. And you and me, we're the last ones who are still awake. And we're just sitting here, gazing out the window. Night has fallen over Trolls Village, and the scene is peaceful like we've never seen it. The moonlight is glowing off the grass, and the breeze is blowing through the trees. The stars are shining like a blanket of glitter across the sky. There are flowers dangling down from tree branches. And every once in a while, we see a tiny flicker of light, a glowfly beaming across the forest. As we look around the sky and stars, the trees and the breeze, there's something about this night that seems magical. It's so peaceful sitting here, so soothing. It almost feels like this moment is snuggling us up and doesn't want to let us go. I knew it. It's like you're right here beside me. All you have to do is close your eyes and imagine it. I think I need a minute to process this. Are you as inspired as I am? If you're as blown away as me, just picture a sparklefly dancing on top of a plush room. I knew it. You pictured it. You totally pictured it. Wow, this is like a big discovery. Okay, we should probably roll with this momentum. Let's keep this quiet and soft and slow, like a breeze and a wave. And now, live from Trolls Village, I present to you my sleep story. Poppy and the Quest for Calm. The story begins a little while ago, earlier tonight. An epic dance party was winding down, and I was ready for bed. But Branch was having a hard time sleeping. See, Branch has this thing where his thoughts get really busy at night when he's trying to sleep. It's like all his plans and precautions for the next day are racing around in his mind. So Branch and I hung out for a while, and I tried to help him clear his mind. I took an old scrapbook, and we found a quiet place to flip through it, on the outskirts of Trolls Village. We climbed up and sat down on a huge leaf that was resting in the grass. Dark green with a pattern of bright yellow lines all over it. It was super comfy, and it moved side to side in the wind, almost like a hammock. A baby catterbus climbed up to join us, a colorful, fuzzy little guy with big blinking eyes and cute little antennas. He didn't make a sound. He just curled up and listened. We didn't know our new friend's name, so Branch and I decided to call him Blinkable. So there I was on a huge leaf with Branch and Blinkable. I was flipping through the scrapbook, telling Branch stories from the old times in Trolls Village. There was the time the trolls became friends with the Bergens, and we all celebrated with an epic dance party. And then a year later came the anniversary of the time we became friends with the Bergens, which we also celebrated with an epic dance party. And then there was the time when our Hug Time bracelets malfunctioned, and we were doing Hug Time every 2 minutes. It was a very huggy few days. But then we fixed the issue and got back to our regular schedule. Hug Time every hour, on the hour. Which we celebrated with another epic dance party. Finally, Branch and I got to the last page of the scrapbook, and the page was torn, so part of the picture was missing. It looked like there was a young troll with her hair in a fancy pose. It was Windbreeze, one of the wisest trolls when she was much younger. She had the most peaceful look on her face, like she'd discovered the happiest happiness. Her hair almost looked like it was arranged into a special shape, held out in front of her face. But with the page torn, you couldn't quite tell what she was doing. Just then, King Peppy arrived for a visit. He climbed up on the leaf, petted Blinkable on the head, and took a seat. King Peppy is my father. He's the oldest, wisest troll of all the trolls. He has a wise sound in his voice, and a wise look in his eyes, and a wise hint of gray in his handlebar mustache. He's always saying how proud he is of me, and how much he loves me. And I'm always saying how proud I am of him, and how much I love him back. When King Peppy noticed the torn page of the scrapbook, he seemed to know exactly what it was. And that's when he shared the story of an old hair move from many years ago. It was called Hairendipity. Now, you might be wondering what a hair move is. As you already know, trolls have colorful, magical hair. Well, a hair move is like a dance move that you do with your hair. And I gotta tell you, it's pretty great. I can turn my hair into the shape of a palm tree if I need some shade. I can shape my hair into a jump rope and get a little exercise. And if I'm feeling adventurous, I can turn my hair into a hang glider, catch a gust of wind, and go for a little flight over Trolls Village. So basically, any magical move that you do with your hair, we call that a hair move. But this wasn't just any hair move. Hairendipity was a way to instantly relax. If any troll is feeling uptight or anxious, all you have to do is stretch and braid your hair into this very precise shape, and voila, you feel totally calm. I joked with Branch that he could use something like that to get him to relax a bit when his mind would get racing. Branch and I tried to study the picture to see if we could do the hair move ourselves, but we couldn't see the whole thing because half of the picture was missing. King Peppy explained that nobody has achieved serendipity for ages, and most trolls think it's just an old legend. But I had a feeling that serendipity was possible. After all, why would it be in a scrapbook if it wasn't real? King Peppy pointed to the picture of Windbreeze. In the background, there was a single tree in the middle of a giant field. And that's when I recognized it. I know that place, I said. It was a place that my dad had taken me years before when I was just a baby troll. I explained to Branch that this was a very special field, known to be the most peaceful place in Troll's Village. It was called the Field of a Million Flowers. I wondered, maybe that's where we can find the answer. Right in that moment, I decided I would go on a mission to discover the long-lost state of serendipity. King Peppy gave us directions to the Field of a Million Flowers. Along the brook and through the forest for a long, long way. Simply follow the moon and you'll get there, he said. I really wanted Branch to come along, but it took some convincing. It's pretty late for a big adventure, he said. What if we find out it was a made-up myth all along, he said. And besides, what if we end up in the desert and then we see cupcakes on the horizon, but it's just a mirage, and then we end up being super disappointed, he said. I couldn't really argue with that last point. But eventually, I broke through. Branch realized this hair move might be his only shot at getting some peace. So he decided to join me. Blinkable offered to come along too, which, he didn't exactly say that because baby catterbuses don't talk. But he blinked in a certain way. And we thought, well, he's been around since the ground floor of this thing, so let's bring him along. King Peppy wished us well, and that's pretty much how it began. A midnight quest to discover serendipity, to bring calm to one troll's busy brain. Branch and I followed the brook for a long while. It was this beautiful stream with bright, sparkling water that turned and twisted through the forest. For what seemed like miles, there were logs crossing the stream every so often, giant fallen trees stretching from one side to the other, like bridges. Just for fun, Branch and I would walk across one of the fallen trees, crossing over the brook to the other side. And then we would walk along the new side for a while, until another log came along and we'd cross back to the old side. It seemed like the trees had fallen ages ago. They were covered in the softest layer of fuzziness, and some of them had old branches dipping down into the water, which made a trickling sound as the stream flowed past. Branch and I didn't talk much along the way. Sometimes I would hum or whistle a song, and sometimes Branch would hum or whistle along. I could tell Branch had his usual plans and precautions stirring around in his head. But I would think to myself, that's okay. We'll discover serendipity soon enough. After a while, Blinkable got tired of walking with all his tired little legs. So Branch lifted him up and put him on top of his head inside his hair, which kind of wrapped around Blinkable like a basket. His little baby Catterbus head peeked out, with his big eyes blinking. The fact that Blinkable was happy made me even happier. And I think it secretly made Branch happier too. So we kept going across the fallen trees, with the sparkling brook below and the glowing moon above, through the forest and the night for a long, long way. A while later, at a moment that felt just right, the brook led out of the forest, and the whole world seemed to open up. We stepped past the trees, and I looked out at a place that was even more beautiful in real life than it was in my memories. We'd made it to the field of 1,000,000 flowers, and it was kind of unbelievable. During the day, it would have been beautiful enough, but at night, the flowers were glowing in 100 colors. Warm colors like orange and yellow, and cool colors like blue and green. They were swaying in the breeze, almost like little currents of movement would sweep across the field, like waves in the ocean. There were glowflies shooting across the field, little baby beams of light skipping over the flowers, like birds soaring over a city. The field was wide open, with the starry sky shining above, and the moon just sitting there, glowing big and bright. And right in the middle of the field, there was a single tree. As the only tree in a field of flowers, you might expect this tree to be big and tall and striking. But it was short and wide, with long leafy branches reaching out in every direction. One side was leafier than the other, in a way that made it seem kind of imperfect and wonderful. This tree was fully content with who it was, almost like it was just grateful to be hanging out with the flowers and the moon and everything else. Before we crossed the field, Branch thanked me for leading this quest. "You came all this way," he said, "even though you were so tired, just so I could get some peace." Apparently, it meant a lot to Branch, and it meant a lot to me that he would say so. So with that, Branch and I made our way across the field, with Blinkable resting in Branch's hair. As we stepped through the flowers, they perked up and spread out, opening up so we could walk through the field. They swayed in a swirling motion as we passed, kind of like the flowers were happy to see us. It was the most mesmerizing thing. Soon, we arrived at the tree and looked around. There wasn't much of anything happening in the field. No sign of what to do next. But then, out of nowhere, we noticed someone not far from the tree, sitting in the flowers. Someone we hadn't expected to see on a midnight quest to a far-off, peaceful place. It was Cloud Guy. You might not know much about Cloud Guy, so I'll just fill in the blanks. Cloud Guy is a guy who is a cloud. He's got a big, friendly face and skinny purple arms and legs, usually with white tube socks on his feet. And his head and body are, you're probably ahead of me here, but a cloud. Every time I see Cloud Guy, he does something hilarious. And this time, he did not disappoint. He pulled 2 little boxes out of his cloud. 2 presents, each with a bow on top. One rosy pink, one baby blue. He handed the pink one to me and the blue one to Branch. "Welcome to the field of 1,000,000 flowers," Cloud Guy said in a silly, formal way. I opened mine first, and inside was a fat little cupcake with pink sprinkles, which was great. Branch opened his box, and inside was a white sock. Not a pair, but just a single white tube sock, rolled up into a ball. Cloud Guy took the sock, unraveled it, and wiggled it in front of Branch's face. "Thank you, good sir," he said to Branch, and then he put it on his left foot, which we all realized had been missing a sock. Personally, I thought the whole gag was hilarious, but Branch wasn't exactly entertained. So I gave him half my cupcake, which seemed to reconcile everything. Cloud Guy was pretty proud of himself at that point. But then he did something I've never seen Cloud Guy do. He didn't say a word. He just smiled, sat down in the flowers with his legs crossed, and stared off at the tree. My eyes followed where he was staring, and I noticed that he was looking at something hanging from one of the branches. Just hanging there, swaying a tiny bit in the breeze. It was a picture frame, but it didn't have a picture. It was a wooden frame with an empty space, hung from the branch with a piece of yellow string. We all wondered what Cloud Guy was staring at, since there wasn't anything in the picture frame. Branch and I sat down beside Cloud Guy, with our legs crossed, and we all just sort of stared into the picture frame. Some time passed, and no one said a word. All I could hear was the breeze sweeping through the flowers and the sound of the brook trickling and flowing not far away. I wondered, the picture frame has nothing in it, so what am I supposed to be looking at? But I started to feel more and more relaxed, sitting there, staring through that picture frame. Cloud Guy seemed really peaceful too, and Blinkable was blinking away, happy as a catterbus gets. Even Branch started to unwind. You could see it. A little quiver shivered down his shoulders, and that loosened up his posture. He had a gentle smile on his face, and his breath was really slow. Inhales and exhales, almost like he was breathing in slow motion. After a while, I didn't mind that we were looking at nothing, because I realized maybe that's the point. You could see so much within that picture frame. It was like a little moment. The flowers and the distant trees, the glowflies, the moon, and the sky. It was nothing, but in a weird way, it was everything. Not much changed as the time passed. I think we all felt more and more relaxed. The moon sighed happily as it moved a little across the sky. but you couldn't really see it happening because it was so slow. Even the glowflies started to slow down. Instead of shooting across the field, they were hovering in place. Hundreds of them, moving a tiny bit up and down, side to side. Cloud Guy looked so peaceful, he almost seemed ready to float away, which I guess is normal since he's a cloud. After a long while that felt like somewhere between 5 minutes and forever, I noticed something tucked away inside the corner of the picture frame. It kind of looked like a folded up piece of felt. I walked over to the tree, reached up, and pulled the piece of felt out of the frame. I unfolded it, and I instantly knew what it was. A torn page from a scrapbook. I opened the old scrapbook, flipped to the end, and held up the torn page. Sure enough, it completed the picture, and I shouldn't have been surprised. There she was, Wind Breeze, in a state of serendipity. Her magical hair was braided and formed into a rectangle held out in front of her face. And she was simply staring into it, like she was looking through a picture frame. So that was it. The whole thing, the whole time. All a troll needs to do to find calm is to pay close attention to whatever wonderful things are happening right now. The breeze and the trees, the stars and the sky. The frame was just a reminder, a way of helping you see what's already there, right in front of you. When I turned around to say goodbye to Cloud Guy, he was already gone. He probably floated away to do more hilarious, cloud-related things. Me and Branch and Blinkable, we looked out across the field of a million flowers one last time. The stars in the sky, the trees swaying in the breeze. And when the moment felt just right, we waved goodbye to the tree and the frame, and we turned to make our way back. Back through the field of a million flowers, back into the forest and along the brook, across one fallen tree, and then back across another. Back to share a big discovery with our friends. When we got back to Troll's Village, Branch and I invited our friends to a slumber party in my pod. First, Biggie and Mr. Dinkles arrived. Then Satin and Chenille. And then Cooper and Smidge. Guy Diamond and Tiny Diamond. We showed them the long-lost hair move, with our magical hair held out in front of our faces, braided and shaped into a rectangle. Everyone tried it for themselves, and before long, the whole place was in a state of serendipity. And now it's just you and me. Everyone is tucked in, crashed out, fast asleep, with Blinkable curled up by the window, dreaming adorable Catterbus dreams. And that, my brave little listener, is how we got here. Back to Droll's village. Fuzzy, cozy, cool and warm. Home sweet home in my pod. With the stars shining and the glow flies glowing. All is quiet and soft and slow, like a breeze and a wave. And every troll, that's every troll, is off and soft and deep asleep.